Good morning, friends. Just want to welcome you again to another edition of the Daily Devo. I'm Bob Branch, and I want to continue our discussion on some of the things that we talked about last Sunday. One of the things, in terms of what we talked about, is, Paul said, I was sent a messenger from Satan, and that to torment me because of these excessively great revelations that I've had. And he said that the Lord's response to him in the whole thing was no. And that the Lord actually, he answered Paul's prayer, but he didn't answer it in the affirmative. And I think that sometimes when we talk about praying effectively, I think that we're kind of more or less kind of in the boat that we think that we're praying effectively if we don't get a no from God. But I think the reality is that you and I, that we're encouraged by the Lord to pray about everything, and especially about these struggles that we go through. I like the way that James puts that, when we run into a situation where in trials that we ask God, and God is faithful to give us wisdom in these different things. And so with, in the trials, in the thorns, in all these different things that we pray for, I think one of the things that we have to get into our heads is that actually God will, at times, he will say no. And that is actually answered prayer, because he's actually answering us. He's just not answering us in the affirmative. So perhaps you've heard this before, but sometimes the answer is going to be yes. Sometimes the answer is going to be no to our prayers. Sometimes the answer is going to be wait. And in those things, an effective prayer life actually has all of those things that are characteristic. If you're asking God, if you're entering into conversation with God, if you're praying about all these different kinds of things, sometimes the Lord is going to say, wait, I want you to just pull back the reins a little bit. I want you to slow this down. I'm doing something here. And he doesn't say yes, and he doesn't say no, but he just says wait. And wait is part of what grows us up. If you think about it, as a parent, I had lots of times where my kids just were like, Dad, we want this. Dad, we want that. Dad, we want this. We want that. And especially like when they want the car keys, it's like, no. If you ask for the car keys, it's like, well, I'm not going to give you the car keys because you're 14. And 14-year-olds don't drive, and you're a danger to yourself and you're a danger to everyone else because you're 14. At 16, it's even hard to give the kids the car keys. But when you give the kids the car keys, you say, wait for me. We'll sit down together. We'll walk through this. We'll take you to a parking lot. And we took most of our kids to the parking lot at New Covenant, now the Bridge Church, and we just drove around the parking lot and we taught them how to drive that way. And as we did that, they got a wait, they got a wait and a wait, and then eventually they got a yes, affirmative. Now that doesn't mean that everything that you and I ask of the Lord that we're going to get a wait, and then eventually he's just going to buckle. In fact, the Lord doesn't buckle. He doesn't. That's not in his nature, because he loves you too much. So you might get a wait from the Lord. You might get, like the Apostle Paul did with the thorn in the flesh, you actually might get a no from him. I've received a no a lot of times from the Lord and in my prayer lives, and the Lord has actually been quite forthright. No, son. No, that's not me. It's not a no. And I think it's important to back up for just a second and say that the Lord's no is not a no, bad dog, no, kind of a thing. It's a no. And as you think about Paul and what the Lord said to him, I prayed 3 times, he says in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, I prayed 3 times for this thorn to be taken from me. But the Lord said, my grace is sufficient for you. The no actually isn't an outright no. It's a very gentle, my grace is enough, Paul. And I'm saying this no to you because I'm doing something in this. I'm working something in you through this no. And in that, I think that you and I have got to come to grips with it. If we pray boldly, if we pray about everything, if we ask and we seek and we knock, we do these things all the time, we're going to get a yes sometimes, we're going to get a no sometimes, we're going to get a wait sometimes. And then I would add a 4th thing is that sometimes the Lord is quite simply silent. Sometimes he just doesn't answer at all. And it's his prerogative to do so. Sometimes when I'm in a rant and I'm complaining and I just say, God, I need for you to do this. The Lord is silent quite frequently because he's like, are you done? And he is patient with me. He's patient with you. And so an effective prayer life doesn't necessarily mean you're going to always get yeses. And because you don't always get yeses doesn't mean that your prayer life is all for naught. That's not how prayer works. It's not kind of like, if I just dial this in, I'll always get yeses. No, actually, as you pray with the will of God, actually you'll get more yeses when you do that. But with what God has revealed in His Word, but it isn't God just not going to say yes. Okay, yes, son. Oh, okay, yes, son. Even though as a grandparent, I'm going to go see my grandchild soon. I want to give her everything. The reality is, I know in my heart that giving her everything isn't good for her. And so, again, pray about everything. Ask and keep on asking. Seek, keep on seeking. Knock and keep on knocking. And the door will be open to you and you will get what you ask for. But that's what Jesus says. He encourages us to ask and seek and knock. So we ask and seek and knock. But sometimes we're going to get yeses. Sometimes we're going to get no's. Sometimes we're going to get wait. That's just a little bit of a reminder. I think most of you know this, but I think that a lot of times we just sort of lose sight of this and we think, does prayer really work at all? Because maybe you've been asking and you've been getting no's, or you've been getting wait, or you've been getting silences. And that can be frustrating. But this is the Lord that loves you, and He's always doing something because He loves you. Thanks so much for joining me this morning. Keep on asking, keep on seeking, keep on knocking. Don't take a no as God doesn't love me. A no still means I love you. In fact, a no means very definitely, I love you. Think on that for a little bit. I'm praying for you. We're walking together in this. Thanks so much for tuning in with me today. God bless you.